Welcome. First regular meeting of the Kailua Neighborhood Board in 2024 is called to order at 7:06. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is a hybrid meeting, both in person and online, and state law requires that we do a roll call at the start of each hybrid meeting. Josiah Akau. Travis Council. Amber Granite.
Here.
Present remotely. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Here. Online.
Present remotely. David Laea. Present. Jade Lau. Mike Lee. Lavani Lipton. Present. Carol Miyashiro. Present. Keala Morel.
I'm here.
Present remotely. Kate Ryder.
Here.
Present. Claudine Tomasa.
Present remotely.
Present remotely. Steve Trecker. Evan Weber. Present in person. Gary Weller.
Here.
Present remotely. John White. Donna Wong. Present. Jeff Zuckernick. Travis Council has joined us, and I am here. We do have a quorum with 8 members in person, 5 members remotely for 13. The quorum requirement is 10. We'll move on to the next order of business, which are announcements. Mahalo to Alexander and Baldwin, Honolulu Fire Department, Councilmember Esther Kiaina, who were all the main players in bringing together the holiday lights in downtown Kailua. A team effort. Esther spearheaded it. Alexander and Baldwin contributed to the lights, and Honolulu Fire Department installed them and took them down, and it really brightened up downtown. So mahalo. You'll recall a few months ago there was road work going on Oniava Street, small segments at a time, one manhole at a time during the evening, and this was to clean and inspect the sewer going down Oniava Street, part of the Oniava Street Sewer Improvement Project. That data has been analyzed and the project has been canceled. What they've determined is that the method of repair, which was originally envisioned, is not appropriate based on the inspection results, and so they're developing new plans for a different method. It's likely to be a couple of years before anything further happens with the Oniava Street sewer. Any members have any other announcements this evening? Evan Weber.
Yeah, not an announcement, but just a point of order question. Would it be possible to turn the lights off on this side of the room so that we might be able to see the screen better for presentations and Zoom and stuff? Huh? Yeah, just like pretty impossible. It's hard
We'll
to see.
check it out. I'm afraid that, okay, yeah, well, we can leave those on.
I think it might be.
I'm just not sure if we can sectionally turn them off or if the whole room goes dark. Josiah, you can give that a try. See if you can find one that turns off in the vicinity of the screen. Okay. Is that better for everybody? Okay, great suggestion. Thank you. And we'll mark Josiah Cow as joining the meeting. Any announcements from the community? Okay, we'll move on to next order of business, but I do want to ask a question just to check if there are members of the audience who are here for a particular part of the agenda tonight. Is there anyone here specifically for the stormwater quality improvements? Okay. Anyone here specifically for the 580 North Kalaheo Avenue SMA? Okay. And anyone here specifically for the 1070 Wokalua Drive SMA? Okay. Thank you. Next order of business, and we're required to do this in this order, are the Honolulu Police Department and Honolulu Fire Department reports. Honolulu Police Department.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jared Atkins with the District 4 Community Policing Team. The stats for this month are as follows. Motor vehicle thefts, there are 5 in January versus 6 the previous month. Burglaries, there are 4 in January versus 5 the previous month. There were 24 thefts versus 29 thefts the previous month. There were 11 car break-ins in January versus 2 the previous month. There were 0 robberies in January versus 1 the previous month. And then as far as the stats compared from January this year to last year, there were 5 less motor vehicle thefts this year. There was 2 less burglaries this year. There was 1 less theft this year. And there were 12 less car break-ins this year. And then I also have an announcement. We're going to be doing a coffee with the captain on February 20th at 9 to 11 a.m. at Windward Mall Starbucks. So if anyone in the public can come down and talk to our captain, ask him questions, give him any concerns. And then an update we've been having continuing complaints about park rules at Kailua Beach Park. And we've also, we're aware of the resolution passed by the board in December. We've been conducting enforcement, issuing citations for camping, illegal tents, animals in the park, shopping carts in the park. We've arrested somebody for having an animal in the park and having an illegal tent in the park, as well as warrants. We have towed an expired vehicle from over there. And that's all I have for us. I can take any questions or concerns.
All right, questions for Officer Atkins this evening from board members. Carol Miyashiro.
Hi, good evening, Officer Atkins.
Good evening.
Can you maybe clarify a little bit the difference between what you can do when the park is actually closed versus what you can do in regard to enforcing the no camping ordinance?
Sure. So you're asking if there was a park closure versus
Right, what would be the difference? So you're issuing citations for no camping, but there's some limitations with regard to what that means in terms of your enforcement ability. So can you kind of clarify what would be the difference if the park were closed? What could you do at that point?
Sure. So currently, we're issuing camping citations to the individuals. They're sleeping in a chair and they have a blanket over them. We come in there, cite them for camping, and then you say, okay, you gotta clean up your stuff. They simply fold up their blanket, fold up their chair, and then that's it. They're allowed to remain there. When we leave, it's likely they just set right back up. If we had a park closure, we could force them to leave the park. If they had, so we can issue them a 24-hour notice requiring them to move their property out of the park, every single piece of it. We can come back 24 hours later, and then with DFM, Department of Facilities and Maintenance, we can store all that property and restore that property for 60 days. We give them a notice, they can come pick up the property within 60 days before it's destroyed. So with a park closure, we can clean up all the property that's within the park versus no park closure.
Thank you for that clarification, and thank you for your recent efforts to do what you can. I know you met with Councilwoman Ina with regard to that as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions tonight for HPD? Online? Any audience questions? John White.
Thank you, Chair. Hey, Jared. So what about that same type of activity during the day with the homeless crowd? I know we're not talking about families camping with their kids on vacation. It's the homeless community we're talking about, right? Nothing we can do about it in the day, only at night with a closure. Is that correct?
Yeah, so camping is defined from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. In the daytime, reinforced park rules, and again, we don't just target the homeless, right? We enforce across the board. So anyone violating the park rules, we're going to cite them for that. So in the daytime, what we've been finding is, people with shopping carts in the park, animals in the park. Some people have illegal tents, which are defined as, a typical pop-up could be a pop-up tent with more than one wall. So if you had two walls, that's considered an illegal tent. So that's what we've been citing for in the daytime. But yes, camping is defined as between 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
And has most of the complaints been that are coming in through 911 daytime or nighttime complaints? Do you have that intel?
They've been coming in both daytime and nighttime. The daytime ones are there's homeless in the pavilion or under a pop-up tent, and they're making a big mess. So we go to those complaints, and if they're not in violation of park rules, they can have as much stuff there as they want, and they can spread it out as much as they want.
Copy that. Thank you, brother. Stay safe.
Thanks, John.
All right, other questions? Kate Ryder.
I'm sorry, I'm still a little confused because the resolution isn't specifically about sleeping. It's about using it as like a temporary or permanent dwelling place. So it seems like it's a nuance of interpretation but to me, if you have your stuff there day after day, that's using it as a permanent dwelling place. And I feel like I'm still questioning the need to close the park because it feels like the current rules would cover it. And I'm not convinced that enforcing new rules are going to make a big change. So
Yeah, so it's kind of open to interpretation, right? So camping, it's defined as bed rolls, blankets, sleeping bags, up to tents, right? The individuals currently in the park, they sleep in a chair that every single person brings to the beach, right? How many chairs do you see at the beach? And a blanket. How many people bring blankets to the beach, right? So we go there, we cite them for the camping, we tell them clean that up. It's simply a matter of folding a blanket, folding a chair, and that's it, right? People bring coolers to the beach. They bring cooking equipment. They bring all kinds of stuff. The same stuff that these people have. So it's hard for us. If you're looking at it that way, we're gonna have to cite everyone for everything, right? Almost. It's a very hard interpretation. It's difficult to navigate. I said that.
Well, as I understand it, the definition in the Honolulu Revised Ordinance is Chapter 10 on parks, specifically defines camp or camping as sleeping between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. at a park that is not a designated campsite. And so it's really the act of sleeping between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. that meets the definition of camping. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I guess the answer to her question is, well, why do we need a new rule such as park closure? Basically, the park closure is going to help us. Well, it gives DFM the power to issue a 24-hour notice to remove all that property that they have. That's not just tent. It's all the other stuff that is there with it, because they would be in violation of park rule. They would be in violation of a park closure, right? During a park closure, you can't have any property, coolers, cooking supplies, and you can't have anything in the park. It has every single piece of property has to exit the park during a park closure. For camping, right? All you got to do is have them move their camping stuff, and then we leave. And in this case, it's a blanket and a chair. Do they bring it right back in? Yeah, obviously they do.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'd like to recognize that Officer Jared Atkins, who is part of the District 4, which is Windward Side Community Policing Team, was also selected as the Honolulu Police Officer of the Year. And congratulations to you for that. And mahalo for
Thank
your
you.
service to the Windward community.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening. I'm Captain Pangilinan with Kailua Fire Station, and I will be providing the statistics for the confirmed number of incidents in the neighborhood's geographical area for the previous month. Should you have any questions, please email the HFD's Community Relations Office at hfdnhb@honolulu.gov. So the incidents for January 2024 are as follows. Fire, we had 1 structure fire. Wildland and brush, we had 0. Nuisance fires, we had 0. We had 3. Cooking fires, 0. And activated alarms, were there no fires, we had 17. Emergencies, we had 124 medicals, 0 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 8 motor vehicle crash or collisions. We had 3 mountain rescues, 0 ocean rescues, and 0 hazardous materials incidents. The fire tips and announcements for the month: don't stall, call 911. Call 911 right away when there is an emergency. Once the operator is on the line, speak clearly and provide an accurate description of the type of emergency and the location. Remain calm. The operator may ask for additional information or provide instructions. If you find yourself in a spot where you do not have good reception for voice communication, examples in an elevator or while hiking, you can text your emergency to 911. If you don't know the passcode to unlock a cell phone, you can push the emergency button to unlock it and call 911. That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
All right, questions tonight for Honolulu Fire Department board members, online, audience members? All right, mahalo. Thank you for keeping us safe.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next item, which are local agency reports. Board of Water Supply, Dana Urnalis, unable to be with us this evening. However, there is one announcement that she provided. The Board of Water Supply is providing its customers with a big offer of a $100 rebate on WaterSense labeled toilets, which are toilets 1.28 gallons per flush or less. So if you install one of these WaterSense toilets, there's a $100 rebate. And it's, this large rebate is only offered for a 90-day period through April 18th. More information at www.boardofwatersupply.com/rebates. Next item.
Oh, hi,
Um,
hi, sorry to interrupt. My name is Jimmy. I'm representing Board of Water tonight since Danielle couldn't make it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize she had a substitute. Please go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So, in addition to the general water announcements, I also would like to go over the Auloa Road and Ulukahiki Street 16-inch water mains project update. NAN Inc., the Honolulu Board of Water Supplies contractor for the Auloa Road and Ulukahiki Street 16-inch water mains project, is installing new water mains on Auloa Road between Luna I Street and 1050 Auloa Road. Motorists are advised to expect traffic delays. The contractor's working hours are Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., except for observed holidays. And the last thing I want to include is the main break report. There was only one main break for the month of January. That was on January 11th. That was a 12-inch cast iron pipe at 851 Auloa Road. So with that, that concludes the monthly report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you know what year that was installed? The one that broke?
Yes, it was installed in 1941.
1941. Okay. Thank you. Any questions tonight for Board of Water Supply? David Laia.
Yes, thank you. I understood that that construction project was supposed to be completed in November. This being February, I'm wondering how much longer is this going to go? Are there fines associated with these delays?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure when the completion date is, but I can check that out.
Okay, yeah, please let me know and I'll email the board members or at least let us know at the next meeting. Any other questions tonight for Board of Water Supply? Online? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
All right, next we have Marine Corps Base, Hawaii.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair, Board, and community. Just a few things that I wanted to share with you. If anybody has been able to watch the KHON Authentic Hawaii Kamakapili, he came out over the last several months to interview our base commander as well as our archaeologist, June Cleghorn, who is from Kailua. And there's a great segment, if you folks can watch it. It's on the KHON website. So great information. And then just one other note, this year is 2024 is a RIMPAC year. And we'll have some more updates coming up in the next month or two about some specific exercises and training that will be going on. In addition, if any of you folks have heard about the Best Pack that will be happening in Hawaii this year, I'm working with Bonnie Kahapea and some other members of the community to assist with the pa'a to have a place to moor and dock prior to the event at Kualoa, where all of the canoes that are going to be arriving from several of the Pacific countries. We do have a few commitments from some of those countries. Some of the things that will hinder the canoes from coming would be the weather. And so we'll know more in the next week or two how many, but all of the ones in Hawaii definitely are. And Marine Corps Base Hawaii is working to host some locations for them to moor prior to that ceremony, where they will then sail in Kaneohe Bay down to Kualoa for that ceremony, which will be really beautiful for the Po'olaupoko area to all see. And then this coming Saturday, weather permitting, we're going to continue with our Nu'upia week at the fish pond there on the base. We're working with the lineal descendants to do observations and in hopes be able to identify the existing fish pond walls and looking to restore, replant native and bring that fish pond back to life. And if you folks have any questions, my email was provided on the sign-in sheet. And if you have any now, I'm happy to take them.
All right, mahalo. Questions tonight for Marine Corps Base Hawaii, Donna Wong.
This wasn't my original question, but is the fish pond in the Nu'upia Pond?
Yes.
Okay, so my original question then is, can you give me an update on what's happened with the application to lengthen the hours for shooting at the shooting range and extending the no trespassing zone into the ocean?
I can find out where that is right now and get back to the folks next.
Okay, thank you.
All right, other questions tonight for Marine Corps Base Hawaii online? Any questions in the audience? Kate Ryder?
Can you repeat the time and date for the Nu'upia fish ponds? Is that open to public participation if we have access to base?
We will be opening up to the public in the near future. Right now, we're working with the lineal descendants.
All right, and as far as the Kamakapili Aloha Authentic KHNO 2 program, I'll email the members the link to that, and we will also include that link in the minutes.
So I can do that. I have the link and I can share it.
Okay, and if you could add it to tonight's chat, that'd be good too. All right, mahalo.
Thank you.
Okay, twice a year we receive updates from Ryan Ashlock, who is the director at Adventist Health Castle. And it's February and August, and we're February, so welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Last time I was here, we had received word from the American College of Surgeons that we received a trauma designation, level 3 trauma designation. The Department of Health here in the state of Hawaii officially has recognized us now. So you may have seen some media coverage a few weeks ago about Castle getting that designation. So it's something that we are really excited about, to be officially a level 3 trauma center, being the only full service acute care hospital here on the windward side. Our goal is to continue to be able, expand services to be able to serve our windward community. What does level 3 trauma mean? It basically means any trauma patient can come to Castle and we are able to, at a minimum, stabilize them and then transfer them to the appropriate higher level of care, or be able to fully care for that patient. So I hope our community is quite excited by this. Queens is a level 1 trauma center. Polimomi is a level 3 trauma center. So there's now only 3 of us here on Oahu that has this capability. Queens, of course, having the highest level of capability. We've also opened 2 new clinics that happened in the October timeframe, an oncology clinic that is on the campus of the hospital. I think, unfortunately, as we all have seen, the incidences of cancer are increasing, and we are blessed to be able to have a new, larger clinic that allows us to provide additional oncology services to our community. In addition, we opened a primary care clinic in October as well. It's at our Kailua Professional Center that's here in Kailua town. It is our largest clinic to date that we've opened, and really positions us to be able to recruit more primary care into our community. If you have been attempting to establish primary care recently, you will find that it is extremely difficult to get into a primary care provider. So we are excited about being able to have now the space necessary to bring in more providers. And I will also just note that as we finished January was the busiest month that we've had in the hospital, probably in about 5 years. And as we look at the type of patients that are coming in, a lot of it, unfortunately, is deferred care. So I would encourage everyone to please see your primary care physician on an annual basis. It is critical to your health and well-being to do that. Lastly, just a couple of project updates, because I know these come up when I come. Solar project, no updates there. Continue to work with our vendor, and we'll continue to keep the board updated once that moves further along. And then our Hawaii Loa campus, no material updates there. We continue to look at opportunities for that campus and potential partnerships to make sure it's used in the best interest of the community as we move forward. So with that, I'll take any questions.
All right, thank you. Questions tonight, Levani Lipton.
Aloha. So I have a question that came to me via someone, I can't remember, about Adventist Health Castle used to have a program when houseless persons got released. And I don't know if it has to do with bus passes or getting them home or wherever they're supposed to go after their discharge. And so someone was saying that there is an influx of houseless in our community because that program has stopped or been phased out. Can you give us an update? Is this, I don't know exactly what it was, but someone asked me, so.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. I think it's just a bad rumor. So I'll tell you our process in terms of what happens when you have a houseless individual that comes into the hospital. At the point they are safe to be discharged, which would be medically stable, we will provide them outpatient opportunities to be able to connect with additional outpatient services as necessary. We also will provide a bus pass, taxi voucher, whatever means we can to get them back to wherever they call home. Unfortunately, we can't require those individuals to take a bus pass, take a taxi voucher, or go to an outpatient service. So if they decide they don't want that, then they will go wherever they end up going. We can't hold people against their will. There certainly is some state regulations around MH1s, MH4s, and there's some things that that I can speak to separately on what those mean. But ultimately, once someone is medically stable, if they don't want to take the services or the offerings that we have, we cannot hold them against their will. So hopefully that answers it. So we have this program. We have this program for all of our patients, whether they're houseless or someone that may not have a family member that's able to come and pick them up. We'll offer them a mode of transportation to get back to their home.
Is it true that just as you would notify next of kin if someone is admitted, unless they prevent you from doing that, you would notify next of kin for someone without family and if they are indigent, unless they tell you no, do you have the ability to contact core team or assigned social worker, things like that?
We do. We have various agencies that we work closely with to try and be able to get that additional care post hospitalization. But again, not always do they accept that care, and that's the breakdown that we see in our community all too often.
Okay. Other questions tonight? Gary Weller.
I wanted to thank you. I had stayed at your hospital again from the day before Christmas for 6 days, and your hospital is wonderful. The staff was wonderful, the people were wonderful, and I was taken care of very well. So I wanted to compliment you.
Thank you, Gary. There's a great team at Castle, so I'm blessed to be able to come and represent them.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I've watched for a few minutes the great care that they were providing, Gary. We appreciate that. Other questions? Carol Miyashiro.
I have a question, but I also want to have a comment. And my Kailua doctor retired after 20 years, and I recently just went to your PCP clinic, and I'm really, really happy with the service that I'm getting there. So I think that's great.
Thank you.
But can I give you my card so we can discuss further about the anecdotal belief or opinion that our houseless population with mental health needs and issues has increased due to the fact that they turn left when they get out of the hospital as opposed to go back where they came. It has been mentioned to me several times, and I think the source that I've gotten are people that work with the homeless and have talked to them and know their stories. And so is there some way I could give you my card and we can have a further conversation about those services and see what we can do?
100%. I'd love to have the conversation because I hear it all the time too as I'm in the community. And I'd love to dispel that as much as I can because we are not trying to perpetuate houselessness in our community. One thing that I think potentially the board could help look at is there's certain districts that we have within Oahu in which the MH1 population will either go to Queens or Castle, which are the only two inpatient behavioral health providers on the island. The Waianae district is in Castle's jurisdiction. So when you're picking up someone that's a threat to themselves or others and deemed to require hospitalization, patients will come from Waianae to Castle because we are in their jurisdiction. I think we can all appreciate that trying to appropriately discharge someone from that far away, given the distance, can be a challenge. And so one of the things we've been trying to advocate for is potentially a redistricting to make sure that we have an easier time discharging these patients when they're not Kailua to Waianae. So yes, absolutely. Happy to have that conversation.
Levani Lipton.
Thank you. I always appreciate getting very concrete suggestions to take back to the Houseless Committee. So that's very helpful. Is there anyone who would be opposed? I mean, I would think that if I'm from Waianae, I'd want to go back to my community. But do you see any opposition for proposing something like that, the redistricting?
You know, I probably not. I think the biggest challenge that exists, as I understand the way the regulations are written, if you're an MH1 patient, you have to go to a facility that has the services available to care for a psychiatric patient. And right now, there's only two facilities on Oahu that have that, Castle and Queens. So naturally, because of the population that Queens serves in kind of the urban Honolulu area, they get overwhelmed with that population. So that leaves all the other areas for Castle. So just due to the geography and the volume that is happening in urban Honolulu, it kind of naturally gets some of those on this side. The ideal situation would be that you'd have other hospitals that would start to provide these services that would allow them to then care for that closer to where these individuals are being picked up.
It seemed like just as it is for trauma care, if a place located like Palimomi could be the third one designated, that might help balance it maybe.
Right.
Okay. Other questions tonight? Online? Any audience questions? All right, Ryan, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Aloha. Okay, next item's the best part of the meeting. Resident and community concerns. Anything on your mind that you'd like to share? Offer suggestions, have questions? We just ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, please, and use the microphone. Cindy Turner.
Hello, thank you all for everything you do for us. I understand the board is going to be discussing a resolution about the TMDL for the Kailua estuary. And I'm here to just urge you to please accept this or vote for this resolution. I was born and raised in Kailua, basically, and did not know the impact of stormwater on our bays and beaches and streams until we bought a piece of property in Enchanted Lake. And that was 20 years ago. When we first got there, we worked with a professor from the University of Hawaii who was collecting samples for this TMDL. It's been more than 20 years that they've been collecting samples and they can't seem to finish it. There's probably hundreds, no, actually thousands of samples have already been taken. And, you know, the DOH just has to get this TMDL done. It'll make a huge difference in terms of forcing the city to actually clean up the water that the storm drains are depositing into our streams and onto our beaches. According to the city and county's own sampling data, the city's storm drains pour pollutants into Kailua at a rate 10 times the concentration allowed by the Hawaii state standards for estuaries. So we know there's violations going on, but we can't really force the city to do anything about it until this TMDL is done. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other resident or community concerns this evening? Yes, Randall. If we could use a microphone, please.
Thank you, Neighborhood Board, for addressing my issue. My neighbors on Kahili Street, Lauloa Street, and Akumu Street. This year in 2024, we received a freeze on our land values, on the assessed values. We were assessed at the same value for 2023, and I owe it to you folks. You brought the complaint to the city, and they fixed our whole street. So, thank you very much. I haven't stopped, though. This thing will continue.
Well, your detail and persistence and the data you provided was invaluable to the city. Levani Lipton.
Yeah, I was just going to say, thank you, Mr. Hugh, for your data collection. Data always helps build evidence for a case. So I know that was a lot of number crunching, researching, door knocking, and you were able to present it to folks like myself who may not understand all the nuance. So thank you for doing that work on behalf of your neighbors.
Well, mahalo. Others tonight, Ben Rowe.
Good evening. I think Mrs. Judith Inazu is ahead of me.
Ben Rowe, go ahead, please.
Can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think Miss Judith Inazu was ahead of me as far as the hand raising goes. Do you want to take her first or you want me to keep going?
We'll do Judith next.
Okay, sorry about that. Good evening, Neighborhood Board. I am a Pohakapu resident, which some of you may know, and I am checking in tonight to see if there is something I may have missed as far as notification for community. This is in regards to the new traffic situation that is Kalaniana Ole Highway and Ulu PE Street, which is the overpass that goes from Olamana to Pohakapu near the Hawaiian Electric base yard there. They've made some traffic alterations and obstacles that have really made a negative impact to the intersection that is at Ulupuni Street and Kalanianaole Highway. So they've diverted all of the traffic that needs to turn left out of Pohaku towards Waimanalo down one intersection, and all of the traffic that needs to exit Olamana down one intersection, and it's causing a lot of confusion. Does anybody know about this?
Actually, we're going to get a report on this as part of Governor Green's representative's report this evening, which is the next item of business. And after we receive that report, we'll be open for board and resident questions. And if there's still a question to be asked, you're welcome to ask it again then.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Okay, Judith Anazu.
Yes, hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Ben, for offering to cede the floor to me. I'm here representing the Mid-Pacific Roadrunners Club to report on 2 races coming up in February and in March. The first one, and I have all the information in chat as well. The first one is on February 25th. It's a 10-miler and a 5K, and it starts at the Boys and Girls Club on Kainalu Drive, goes into Lanikai. It says Kanikai there. It's a typo. Lanikai, make the loop, turn back to Kailua Road, and then the course goes down Enchanted Lake, do the Enchanted Lake loop, and come back to Boys and Girls Club on Kainalu. And there are some detours, some road construction there, so a committee is looking at how to bypass the construction. The second race is on March 24th. It's a half marathon and a 5K. And again, it starts and ends at Kainalu on Kainalu Drive. This time the course goes straight down Enchanted Lake, do the loop, come back up, then go all the way on Kainalu Drive to the end of Kainalu Drive, then go into the Kaneohe Marine Corps Base area right before the base, turn around, come back on Kainalu, and end at the Boys and Girls Club. For both races, we expect 200, 300 runners. It starts early in the morning at 6 a.m. We should be done by, 10 a.m. or so. And we have police that will be at the strategic areas on the course. And we, appreciate the community's tolerance and patience and support for all these runners trudging through the streets in the early morning. So thank you, and I'll take any questions you might have.
These are both Sunday mornings, correct?
Yes, that's right. They both start at 6 in the morning.
6 a.m.
In the dark, yes.
Okay, one in February, one in March on Sunday
Yes.
morning. Are there any questions about the road races? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you so much.
Are there any other resident or community concerns this evening? Online? Okay, mahalo. We'll move on to the mayor's and the governor's reports. We'll start with Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative. Who do we have tonight? We have Shane Enright.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Shane Enright, in for Director Jim Ireland. He wasn't able to make it this evening. I only have 2 items, and the first one was a question about the responses to motor vehicle collisions. It was a question to HFD, but of course EMS responds as well. And there was 4 of them, and I have the addresses, so I'm going to just read those off. The first one was fronting 725 Kailua Road. The second was in the parking lot of 710 Kailua Road. I'm very sorry, I don't know what business or establishments these are. The third one is near 767 Kailua Road, and the fourth one was fronting 145 South Kainalu Road. So 3 on Kainalu Road, and then the fourth was South Kainalu Road. And if you want more information, there was a website provided. It's rather long, so I can provide that to you, Chair, via email if you don't have it, and if that's an easier way to get it to your board members and to your residents if interested. And then the second issue was again the Kailua Beach Park, and I was listening to HPD and to all the concerns, and our question was whether or not CORE, the branch that directly relates to the homeless or the houseless that falls under the department that myself and Director Ireland work for, could go out to Kailua Beach Park. Now, I'm told they have not yet made it out there, but it is on their list of areas to go to. CORE does have the entire island, and we know we have houseless across in every neighborhood nowadays. So they do have it on their schedule. I don't have an exact date. I'm hopeful by the next meeting I will have an update that they were able to make it there. But just a reminder with that, it won't be like a one-time deal. Like they have to build relationships with the people and gain trust. And even then, it's very difficult to get some of these people sheltered. But with that, if anybody has any questions, oh, I'm so sorry, Chair. One more ad. Director Ireland wanted me to let you all know that the department is asking the state for support in funding $3.5 million to help with staff. We need more staff. Our staff consists of EMTs to provide the medical side of it and community health workers. To go out there, a lot of these people have medical issues. We try to keep them from just going to the emergency rooms. As you heard from Adventist Health Castle, our emergency rooms are very overwhelmed. So with that, if you have any questions.
All right. Perfect 3-minute timing, no less. Questions for Shane Enright tonight? Online? Any questions from the audience?
I have a question online.
Okay. Rick.
Yeah, so I have a question for the mayor's office because we've had problems with illegal parking on our street for the last few years. And for various reasons, unimproved sidewalk, road too narrow and everything. We've asked Department of Transportation to help us put up no parking signs because the mayor's office, HPD, and Department of Transportation have all agreed that there's no legal parking on our street. When I asked the mayor's office for help, they referred me to call HPD every time there's illegal parking. But it's HPD's policy that it's officers' discretion when there are no signs that say no parking on the street, because oftentimes those are just kicked out of court and no charges come from it. So why even issue a ticket? What should I do to get the no parking enforced 24/7?
Okay, I don't know the answer to that. So, Rick, I don't know if you're comfortable giving the chair your contact information, or I can give my email and you can email me directly and then I can get it to whoever who would know the answer. But let me know how you would best like to do contact information and we can move forward.
Pretty sure the board has my information.
Okay.
Rick, your street is the street nearest to the exit from Kailua Beach Park, is that correct?
Yes.
Again, the name of the street, please?
Makali'i Place.
Okay. And Shane, the situation on this street is, it is too narrow to support parking. But yet people park on most of the length of the street. And the reason why is because there's a cul-de-sac turnaround at the end of the street. And there's a posted sign that says no parking from here to end of street to keep that turnaround open. And what that implies to everybody is, oh, you can park on that street except for from that point to the end where the turnaround is. And And that's a wrong impression because there is no way to legally park on that street following the rules. And to avoid that confusion that's implied, it would seem as though the solution would be pretty simple. Just mark the whole street, no parking. But I think there is resistance within DTS of putting up no parking signs where the only possible parking would be on an unimproved sidewalk, which is not legal. So that's the conundrum. The current situation leaves the impression that you can park on most of the length of the street because of the confusion provided by the specific no parking sign from here to the end. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, it absolutely makes sense. You said it was Makali'i?
Yes, if you check on the Honolulu 311 app, there's about 100 complaints with pictures and images of how crazy it gets. So
Okay.
I just find it a little confusing as to why Department of Transportation has taken so long to address this issue. And they won't even respond to the residents anymore on the street, basically. So it's been a little frustrating because it's been going on for, I'd say, over 3 years at this point of us trying to get this solved.
Yes, and it also sounds like emergency vehicles probably wouldn't be able to get through either. So, let me, get back to you.
Thank you.
And if either of you need to connect with email addresses, I can be the middleman.
Okay, no, I think we're good now. I didn't know if you wanted to give his address over, but, that's great. I got this street, so thank you.
Okay. Any other questions tonight for Gary Weller?
Hi, I'm the guy that every single meeting tells you about the Kapaha Quarry Road. There's kind of an issue that's been going on for years there, and that's no maintenance of the road. But now it's got a really critical area. As you leave Kalaheo High School side and you go around the bend and you come into the straightaway, there's a river going through there and the water piles up. And one side of the street on the mountainside only has a half a foot of water, but the other side has maybe 2 feet of water. So people in cars tend to want to go through the side that has very little water. Well, when a semi truck, a city truck, or any large truck goes through there on the marsh side of the road, and a civilian's car is going through the light side of the road, the truck just floods that vehicle out, just literally covers it with water. The driver can't see. It's mud all over his windshield. And that scenario has been going on for years. There's no drainage there. The idea is the water just comes down from the mountain, goes right across the road, and the road has a dip there. And that's a really bad situation. And the opposite is true too, that if you're waiting on the side of the deep water to move to the side with the little water and a big truck goes by, that's a dangerous situation also because now cars are stopped in the middle of the road. Then if you add the homeless that are on bicycles and hikers and other people that go on that road, I've been complaining about this since I've been on the Kailua Neighborhood Board. It's about time that the city really took a look at the situation there. You can't even see the line in the middle of the road anymore. During the last storm, it overflowed over the whole road and you couldn't even drive down the road. So I think it's about time the city did something about it. So thank you very much.
Okay, Gary, I got you. I'll let them know.
Shane, Jim has got some emails from me on this as well. The road often is closed when it floods out. And the drainage ditches on both sides are overgrown such that people aren't even aware that those ditches exist. But that also impedes the drainage. And as Gary mentioned, the center line is no longer visible. It's so faded. Other comments on this? Ted, did you want to add something? Oh, okay. Okay, we're going to get elected official updates. This is great. Any other questions for Shane tonight? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Next, we have Governor Josh Green's representative, Aaron Connor. And when you're done, Aaron, I think Lee Nagano from Hawaii Department of Transportation will also provide an update. And I hope your foot's doing okay.
I will survive. Good evening, everybody. I had one question to follow up on from the December meeting. Was regarding the number of big trees cut down on the Women's Correctional Center campus when they did the whole Keepa project, and there were 3 trees removed for that project. As Chair Hicks mentioned, Lee is on line to answer some or to provide some information about the Kalaniana Ole Highway and Olamana subdivision. But I did want to point out, I don't know if you've seen in the news, the Governor Green is opening up a Kaneohe Kauhale, similar to the one that was on the Queens campus, oh no, the Department of Health campus downtown. It's going to be up near Windward Community College, and it is planning to be in duration for 5 years. So that is I can get more information from governor's office. I didn't have time once they told me the announcement to get more information, but I plan to do that in the near future, just so that the Windward residents know about that service for the homeless and the houseless and those who need someplace to go once the discharge from the hospital. So we'll get more details on all of that in the near future. And those are all of the things I had to update you on. We can turn it over to Lee, and then we'll take questions if that's the way you want to do it, Chair.
Let's do any questions for what you've gone over so far. Any questions tonight for Aaron? Gary Weller?
Hi. From the beginning of Mukapo all the way to Kaneohe Marine Base on the back gate, the grass is over my knees now in the middle strip. And that's really a terrible way to present the pathway into the Marine Corps base and for that whole community over there. If somebody wants to turn into a Kahi shopping center or into a Kahi park, they can no longer see the oncoming car because the grass has been so high. So I'd really like the state to come, that's a state road, and I used to have to ask all the time for it to be mowed, and I don't know why it can't be attended to. It hasn't been mowed in months.
Okay, we'll check that out.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hi, I noted it down for DOT. Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Lavani Lipton.
Just have a quick question, because I've also noticed the overgrown grass on median strips. Is there a regular schedule, or is it just whenever crews get around to it? Because it is a hazard when you're driving if you can't see past that and cars are coming. So I'm just wondering, is there a regular schedule maintenance for the mowing of the grasses?
So Lee might be able to answer that as well from DOT, but if not, we'll find out the answer. In addition to all the rain has caused it to speed up really, really quickly recently, but we'll see if Lee has the answer. If not, I'll get you an answer by next month.
Hi.
Any questions online? In the audience? Okay, we'll move on to the next part of the governor's report, which is Hawaii Department of Transportation. Lee Nagano, who is often represented, Governor Ige actually on our board meetings. Welcome back, Lee.
Hi, aloha, good evening. Following up on that question, for the Hawaii Department of Transportation, for state facilities, we do have a regular rotation of 6 weeks. But I will relay the Mokapu Boulevard to our maintenance crew. But yeah, normally it's 6 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, and let's see, wanted to respond to give a report on the questions that were forwarded it to me. So thank you very much. Regarding Kalani, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Regarding Kalaniana Ole and Ulu PE and Ulu Hala streets, the DOT sought public input for safety improvements along that area. And hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, sorry. We're initially at the Olomana Town Hall in November 2021. The finalized plans for the improvements were shared with the Olomana Community Association for discussion in late October 2023. The intent was to reduce speeds, which were shown as exceeding school and posted speed limits at conflict points at the intersection of Kalaniana Ole Highway and Ulu PE Street. The speed table provides speed reduction as shown by our earlier installations. The turning movement restrictions would reduce conflict points by directing drivers to the next intersection, which is 1,000 feet away. Regarding the Hawaii Department of Transportation to install appropriate traffic signals at the intersections of Ulu PE Street and Kalaniana Ole Highway, it was determined that a traffic signal at that intersection was not warranted. In addition, the Olomana community had expressed concerns that a traffic signal would facilitate left turn traffic from Kalaniana Ole Highway, thereby increasing drivers cutting through the community. The reduced left turn conflict or restricted crossing U-turn, otherwise known as RCUT, intersection with two speed tables was proposed as an alternative to the traffic signal for the following reasons. One, to reduce broadside crashes involving drivers traveling straight through or turning left from Ulupi'i Street. From 2018 to 2023, there were 16 major crashes and 6 or 37% of those were broadside crashes. Two, the existing left turn restriction from 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. on school days would remain. Number three, the existing U-turns were in reasonable distance or about 1,000 feet or less from Ulupi'i Street. Four, speed tables would manage speed approaching the intersection and potentially reduce angle opposition direction crashes involving drivers turning left from Kalaniana Ole Highway into Ulupi'i Street. DOT confirmed speeding during the morning time when parents would be dropping off students and when the 25 mile per hour school speed limit of 25 miles per hour was active. From 2018 to 2023, there were 3 angle opposition direction crashes. The proposed RC intersection with speed tables was unanimously accepted by the Olomana Community Association Board, Maunawili School Principal and Vice Principal with area legislators present. DOT completed installation on January 11th, or will complete in, oh, I'm sorry, they did complete installation on January 11th of this year. Let's see, regarding installing blinking crosswalk path lights, traffic signals will be installed at Kailua Road and Ululoa Street and Kailua Road and Ulumanu Drive. Bidding for the traffic signal installation at both sites closed on January 8th of this year. A schedule will be announced pending award, but DOT anticipates starting construction this summer.
Okay.
Sorry, I know that was a mouthful, so I will send you the responses.
Okay, I think I'm going to try to summarize what I heard, which is that the action taken on Kalaniani Ole Highway was in coordination with the Olomana community via Olomana town halls in 2021 and 2023. I'm not sure the Pahakapu community was involved And I know that the Kailua Neighborhood Board was not involved, so I'm glad that the Olamana community was. Our resolution in 2014 for a traffic signal was instigated by the Olamana community, so maybe sentiment has changed in a 10-year period. I think what I understand is that the no left turn from Ulupi East Street onto Kalanianiole Highway in either direction, and instead right turn only and go down and make a U-turn, that I think I understand that that's intended to be the permanent solution. Is that correct?
I will check to see if it's the permanent solution.
Okay. I can certainly attest to it being a dangerous intersection because it's the only way out of the Olamana community, about 1,200 people plus 300 students at the Monowilly Elementary School and parents going in and out, as well as staff, and that the only 3 egresses are onto Kalanianiole Highway, which is difficult and sometimes dangerous during rush hour. I would tell you that from when I got a driver's license at age 16 on my birthday until my mid-60s, I had never ever heard the sound of crunched steel. I'd never ever been in an accident, but I'm one of the ones that got broadsided by a car leaving Ulupi that misjudged it at 6:20 in the morning in the darkness and in winter. It's dangerous, and so disallowing left turns, requiring right turns and U-turns, that is one way to address it. But we would be curious if that's intended to be the final solution. And then regarding the Kailua Road at the 2 stated crosswalks that we passed a resolution on, I believe in 2016, requesting flashing lights. If I heard you correctly, that's something that is intended to be installed in 2024 at some point. Is that correct?
If you're referring to Kailua Road and Ululoa Street and Kailua Road and Ulumano Street, the bidding for the traffic signal installation closed on January 8th, and we anticipate starting construction this summer.
Okay. All right. Are there questions for Lee Nagano? Kate Ryder.
Not a question. I just wanted to say that I am actually really excited about the change along Kalanianiole. I live in Pohakapu. I was skeptical at first, but it really does make a difference. And I just wanted to say it because I know that you get a lot of complaints, and I think those of us that are happy don't always speak up. So thank you.
Thank you.
Travis Council.
Hi, Lee. Following up on a kind of a different project, but in the similar area, Kailua Road from Castle Medical Center to Hamakua Drive is in deteriorating condition. It seems every time we have a rainstorm, there's larger potholes, and I don't see that on HDOT's website as a upcoming project. I do see it on there as noting that it has horrible pavement. But I was curious if you could find out an update of when that might be repaved. I know that Kalanianiole is scheduled in the coming years, and Poly Highway was repaved recently. So it is one of the main thoroughfares in and out of Kailua. So could certainly use some love and attention. Thank you.
Hi, Travis. I'd be happy to check on that. Just confirming, Kailua Road to Hamakua Drive, correct?
Correct.
From Capital Hospital to Hamakua.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
All right. Any questions online? Ben Rowe.
Thank you, Chair Hicks. And really quick, I appreciate and admire your effective communication and your way to kind of put a frame around what people say so that it gets noted correctly. So thank you very much for that. You also, you brought up a good point, and I was taking some notes when Ms. Nagano was speaking, and the fact that the Olamata community was the primary driver on this neglected between 25% and 33% of the people that are in that general area. You could call it 50% if all you did was consider the folks in Po'akupu, but we also have to recognize that the Enchanted Lakes and Olamata community also use that thoroughfare and are affected by the changes that have been put in place. Ms. Nagano said that there's another intersection that's utilized for making the necessary direction changes about 1,000 feet away. What we've done now with this solution, or that this current thing that's put in place, is that we've added twice as much traffic to another intersection, and also increased the type of traffic that's going in there, which includes more U-turns now, in order for people to go in the direction that they're trying to get to. And for someone who's a lifelong resident of Olamana and then moved to Po'akupu and still has parents in Olamana, I make the trek between the two in the rush hour times, and trying to get out of that middle intersection between Castle Hospital and the overpass is very, very, very challenging. It took me 13 minutes to get out of Olamana the other day, and I had to make the choice to go towards Enchanted Lakes and go around, because it was not feasible to go straight across anymore because of all of the congestion that goes on. We've also noticed with my carpool, which is 3 people on the way home who live in the Po'akupu area as well as I do, that we now get extended traffic that goes all the way up to Castle Junction. And while we can't really tell exactly what is going on, it seems to bottleneck all the way up to the new intersection modifications, as well as those speed humps that are put in place. And I do concede and respect the fact that there are some challenges and some dangers with that upper intersection. And I have witnessed neighbors who have gotten into some pretty serious accidents. But I also think that only getting input from the Olamata community did a disservice to the rest of the people that have to use that intersection. And while I respect everybody's opinions, and some people are in favor of it, and I think that's great, I'm hoping that that's not going to be a permanent solution without all community input and the ability for everybody to weigh in. And more so, who's going to monitor from the Department of Transportation to kind of see how well this is working? And did they take historic data prior to, generally speaking, in my lifetime, I've watched when changes are being proposed that they put those little rubber bands that go across the road, and someone goes out there and takes some statistics and some monitoring, and then changes are implemented. And I didn't notice any of that kind of stuff as a precursor to any changes that are being made. And so I'm always in favor of everybody trying to do better. I'm just hoping that people are trying to do better based on accurate information, and then monitoring results and making adaptations as necessary.
Hi, thank you for sharing that. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback. Thank you for sharing that, and I will take that back to my administration. And as far as the streets you're talking about, was that Ulupuni or P? Ulupi?
So
okay.
Ulupuni is the one that now receives the bulk of the traffic. And one of the things I also didn't mention is now the folks from Hawaiian Electric with their large utility trucks that can't make the egress out of their base yard and head towards Enchanted Lakes, Waimanalo, have to come down the street in Po'akupu and then also negotiate that very crowded intersection now. And they've also, since they've added the delineators there, when people make U-turns, many cars aren't able to make the U-turn effectively from a single left lane into a single left lane. And now the delineators are taking an unfair share of attention with vehicular interference. So
I'm sorry. Where are the delineators you're talking about?
they are
On Ulupuni.
on Ulupuni.
Okay. Thank you.
I just think there's a need to monitor and then possibly revisit. I appreciate the fact that everybody's looking for safe opportunities. I don't want. I think that this one's got a little bit of work to do.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Carol Abe.
Hi, yes. Well, Ben has said some of the things, you know, that flagged out what I've noticed, but, and I've posted the press release about the Ulu PE and Kalaniani Ole that, HDOT had, told us only like, I don't know, a day ahead, but I would agree, you know, Ulu PE and Ulu Puni both cut through both Olomana and Pohakapu. So whenever you're talking about those streets and Kalaniana Ole, I mean, you have to involve the residents of Pohakapu. I mean, it also affects, of course, everybody coming from the Waimanalo way having to go down Kalaniana Ole. But what's the second link that I've there is that from the Olomana Town Hall, there was a survey apparently given to the Olomana residents, not Pohakapu. And there were three options. Okay, one of the options was to have the raised crosswalks, I guess you would call it the speed humps, probably, at Ulupuni, which was put in, okay? And then speed humps there, and then the speed humps over by the Women's Correctional Center. And then Ulupuni, they put those sticks, I guess you're calling it delineators with the signs, you know. So that's what's happening at Ulupuni. And then when you're coming down, if you can't make go on Ulupi, you have to make the U-turn on Ulupuni. I mean, it's apparently people have been hitting, you know, those signs. I mean, you can't really make a U-turn like that. Someone has to go out there and actually look at, because I'm sure if someone actually, a transportation, you know, knowledgeable, went out there and looked, they'd go like, this is logistically very difficult to make that turn. Okay, but going back to the town hall. So there are three options. Option one was the raised side crosswalks, which was done. And there were two other options, both of which specify traffic signals at PE and Kalaniana Ole. So instead of, you know, going with those options, because really a traffic signal is the one that's needed, they put in that no left turn thing, which wasn't one of the options. So I'm just wondering, you know, because that was cheaper. I'm thinking probably, sorry. Okay, and sorry, my other question actually is, so if I heard you correctly and what Bill Hicks repeated, so are you saying that there's plans for traffic lights at Kailua Road and Ulu Oa and Ulu Manu, or there's two separate lights then? One at the high school one and one at the 7-Eleven?
There will be two, one at Kailua Road and Ulu Loa, and the other at Kailua Road and Ulu Manu.
Okay, those are only a block away from each other.
Confirming those are crosswalk lights, not full traffic.
Oh, I see. Okay. So like those blinking things, is that what, like the one they have at Hawaii, you know, is it still Hawaii Loa? I think so. Like
Yeah.
that? Okay.
A rapid flashing beacon.
RRFBs.
Okay.
Yeah, it would really help, like, Bill, besides her sending, I mean, she really should have gotten something written that we could read, like, on this instead of having to listen to all those statistics and then having to wait until 1 month later to get this information in the minutes. It's very difficult to follow. Anyway,
Well,
thank you.
to echo what Carol said, Lee, if it were possible to get the results of the Olamana survey, what the options were and what the resident responses were, just for background information. Carol, I think, listed what she understood the options to be, but if there are some survey
No,
results that
I actually, I posted that link there on the chat. The second one does show the options with
Yeah,
maps.
I know, but does it also show the
Oh,
responses?
no, it doesn't. No, okay.
Yeah, so that's my question for Lee.
Yeah,
If you could share with us what the survey results were, what the options were, and what the resident responses for those responses, that would be useful background if that's possible, Lee.
Hi, I'll check.
Okay, thanks. Travis, Council.
Just a quick note on that. We do have the Transportation Committee next Thursday at 7:45, and this discussion is a standing part of our agenda. So if there's any community members, or maybe I can get some information from Lee before then, but next Thursday in this room at 7:45.
Yeah, it's actually at the district meeting room. Amber Granite.
I just wanted to thank you, Ben, for bringing that to everyone's attention. My son goes to Kailua High School, but so do a huge percentage, probably more than 75% of the high school kids from Waimanalo attend Kailua High School, and their parents drop them off and need to possibly, some of them go back home. A lot of them are kupuna that need to get back to Waimanalo, maybe to take care of other kids, bringing other kids with them. And it's gonna just impact them. When I dropped my son off and saw that I couldn't turn left, and then I couldn't get all the way over because the traffic was so thick to try to get over to, I saw people trying to turn left into Olomana and then making U-turns to come back out to then turn right to go back to Waimanalo. So, I mean, it's just going to create other means and other ways of accidents happening. So I just think you should also bring that back. I think the Waimanalo community should have been also consulted because of all of their kids that attend Kailua High School. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And then I'm just wondering about, as far as all these places that need grass cut, I know that when we went to visit the women's prison, they said that the women who cut the grass, that's one of the highest paid jobs for the women in the prison, and they do want those jobs. They do want to make extra money. So what is the schedule as far as maintenance workers who cut the grass versus sometimes I do see the women cutting the grass. How does the jobs get assigned to the women in the women's prison so that they can make extra money? And can they go and cut all this grass that has not been cut so they can make some extra money?
That I do not know, but I will happily check on that. At my facility in IAEA, I do know that the DOT contracts with the prisons. So at my facility in IAEA, we do have prisoners coming out to take care of the maintenance there. So I'll check if it's the same for Waimanalo.
Mahalo.
Okay. Well, Lee, thank you so very much for joining us this evening, and we'll look forward to additional dialogue.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Good night.
Okay, next order of business are elected official reports. We had a goal of getting to this point at 8:15. We're behind, but we will move on. We go in random order this month. We lead off with Councilmember Esther Kiaina.
Aloha and good evening. I wanted to follow up with Gary Weller's concerns with regard to Quarry Road that he has been expressing for a while. I have contacted the Department of Facility Maintenance, so they are initiating a service request for restriping of the lines. And Gary, you're going to see it before me. So if they are not following up, just let me know. They are also prepping for a work order for reflective road pavement markers. They're looking to see whether that should also be included. With regard to the water, especially recently, whether it's raining or not, I do know it's still flooding, so I get a lot of complaints. So both the board water supply as well as the Department of Facility Maintenance are working to address the issue, not just in the short term, but in the long term. I do believe that there may be a state nexus, and I leave that to Representative Hussey Burdick to talk about that portion of it. Yesterday, the Department of Land Management put out for RFP for the development of the Kihapai Affordable Rental Housing Project at 734 and 735 Kihapai Place. Once the developer has been selected, there will be a public hearing on the development plans. So the public will be able to talk about it, to provide input. And after that, then the developer agreement and the ground lease will have to be considered by the city council. Again, this is a 4-story affordable housing project containing 42 1- and 2-bedroom units. The resolution that I introduced regarding invasive species passed the full council at our last meeting last week. And what that does is it states that while the state of Hawaii has the primary role for invasive species management, all of the counties, including Honolulu, should play its part. And one is to support the Oahu Invasive Species Committee, which is a boots on the ground critical organization for dealing with a lot of the challenges we're facing, especially on the windward side. And so the good news is that the Department of Parks and Recreation at Ho'omalahia Botanical Garden will be allowing for the committee to be based here and not only to serve all of Oahu, but of course, the windward side. So I'm very happy about that. Bill 64, 2023, and my staff would put it in the chat box. We're having a hearing on this. This relates to the land use ordinance. And then just, Chair, can I just tap?
Yes, one more.
The other, just too quickly, so I'm going to put it in the chat box, but residential uses will be considered in both the February and March hearings. I highly recommend for the zoning committee and any other member on the board or anyone in the audience who's concerned about the land use ordinance to share your mana'o. The Lanikai Transportation, the draft Lanikai Transportation Plan has been completed by the Department of Transportation Services. What is going to happen? I'm working with Mid-Pacific Country Club. I'm looking to schedule a community meeting because the issue is very contentious. We will not be sharing it until the meeting, and we'll provide 30 days for the community to provide input to it, and then the report will be finalized. So the reason I'm mentioning it is because we'll likely have the community meeting before your next board meeting. So I just wanted to assure you that I will be sending it to you to inform the committee and community. And for all of you who are interested, you can also just contact my office directly. Everybody in Lanikai will be notified, so I'm going to be sending out a notice. Lastly, I wanted to make some comments about the proposed closure at Kailua Beach Park. My staff is going to put in the chat box a list of all of the closures on the entire island of Oahu. It is a great majority of the parks, including our own park here. Almost all the parks in Kaneohe, as well as Waimanalo, where the hours are 10 to 5. Last week, as you know, the pavilion has pretty much been taken over, and there's a gentleman there who is there 24/7. He did actually come to talk to me, and he wanted to know what was going on. And I told him that I know that you guys are considering action, but just based on what I heard from HPD, DPR line staff, the Institute for Human Services and the Department of Facility Maintenance, the proposal of park hours is recommended by all so that you give city officials the appropriate tools for proper enforcement. I know you passed the resolution, but the challenge is the storing of items. So the gentleman who stores items just leaves it there. And because of potential lawsuits and the threat of lawsuits all the time against the city, because the majority of parks on Oahu already have closures, they just feel that, that we should consider it. So I just want to let you know, I'm moving forward to recommend to Director Thielen to propose park closures from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And that's all I have.
Well, it was a lot to cover. We'll look forward to seeing the Lanakai master plan as well, and we'll try to facilitate some comments as well. Regarding park closure, one of the options that we have heard that might meet some of the objectives would be to close Kailua Beach Park at 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. 1 day a week. And that would be enough to provide that 24-hour notice for removal of property while still keeping the park open 6 days a week. And so that has been floated, suggested by Officer Atkins and some others. So just food for thought.
That is an option. And so all options could be on the table. I need to let you know that no one will be impeded to beach access. No one will be impeded to go fishing. And in no way will it deprive Native Hawaiians of traditional and customary practices. That's something I have safeguarded the majority of my life.
Yep.
And so the gentleman who was there came up to me and said, "What's going on?" And I told him what's going on. And he said he was a Native Hawaiian and he was practicing his traditional and customary rights. And I told him that I was a Native Hawaiian. I fought the most of my life to safeguard those rights. And what he is doing is not traditional and customary practices. And so he is using a loophole to stay there 24/7. And if everybody did that, it would defeat the whole purpose of having the park.
Right. Questions for Councilmember Aina? Online? Audience questions? Gary Weller.
Esther, thank you very much for cleaning up all the trash on that street where the low-income housing project is going to go. But I went and I visited the neighbors, and the city didn't take down all the 4x4 poles that held up the dust screen. And those poles are starting to rot. And if one of those 20-foot poles hits a child in the head when it falls, as you were just saying about lawsuits, that would be something that should be prevented. So if it's going to take a long time before you actually start the construction project, those 4x4 posts that were holding up the old dust screen should be taken down. Not only that, the old dust screen flaps in the night in the wind, and it disturbs everybody in the neighborhood when it flaps back and forth. So
Okay,
I would
this is in Hihapai, right?
yes, yes.
Okay, and then can I ask you, was the grass cut?
No.
Okay,
Just
it is being,
all the garbage was picked up, and
Got
thank you for that. The neighbors thanked you. I told them it was due to you. And, but these were their additional concerns.
I will follow up with that, but I need to let you know in the queue, DLM asked the Department of Facilities Maintenance, because they have approved by the marsh, they will be cutting down the grass. And I told them, listen, you're starting a project there, right? No sense in leaving the property derelict and causing ill will with the neighbors. So we'll follow up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther.
Okay, mahalo. We'll move on to Senator Jarrett Keahokalole. Representative Scott Matayoshi. Representative Lisa Martin.
Aloha. It's a busy time. I think that's why some of my colleagues are not here. It's been a particularly busy month for me. I was made chair of the Human Services Committee at the beginning of the year, taking over from John Mizuno, who moved to work for the governor as the new homeless czar. It's been a lot, excuse me, to come up to speed and get my bill package together, but I've had my first 2 hearings, and I have to say it's really been a great experience for me. And I feel like I'm able to participate and contribute in a whole new way at the legislature, and I'm really happy about that. Also happy for our community, because as you become more senior, you can get more done for your own community. So in addition to human service bills, I do have my own package. So they include, among other things, a bunch of bills connected to the little fire ants. And the little fire ants are still a problem in Lanikai. And the Hawaii Ant Lab, which is helping Lanikai and other neighborhoods affected, they are very, very understaffed. And so, some of the legislation that I've worked on is to better fund them. But the solutions that they have with community partnership, I'm not sure it will really work. They're asking a lot more of our neighbors to get involved in treatment and treatment of other people's houses. And I'm just not sure how that will work, but it's definitely something that we're trying to do. In terms of legislation, part of the things I do is I try to champion good bills, but I also try to fight bad bills. And one of the bills I'm putting in the chat that I think might be of interest to this group is one that would change all residential zoning in the state. It has only 1 hearing, which is very unusual in the House. It's scheduled for a triple hearing, which means it just happens 1 time with 3 different committees all at once. And the bill would essentially make it so that no county could refuse to have up to 4 homes on each residential lot, and lot sizes could be reduced to, I think it was 1,200 square feet. And this is statewide. So for those of you who are worried about a few extra floors on a building in Kailua town, I think that you might be really worried about this. So I urge you to be watching out for that hearing. My office is always happy to help people navigate the legislative process, sign up to track bills where you can get automated whenever there's a hearing. And I just really urge you to get engaged, because I haven't seen anything like this in my short time at the legislature. Yep, I'm also chair of Keiki Caucus, so I've been championing and helping organize community groups that serve Keiki in our island, in our state, to work with legislators to get bills introduced and hopefully passed. So it's just been a very, very busy time, but I have to say very exciting to be, engaged in legislation that might make things better for our state. And I'm open to any questions.
Could you say again the House bill number?
Yes, it's HB 1630.
1630, and is it currently scheduled, or is it?
It is not
awaiting
scheduled
scheduling?
yet.
Okay.
It's not. It will be scheduled, 48 hours in advance, so it can come up really fast.
Okay.
And again, there's only 1 hearing in the House, so it'll come and then it's gone. And
Okay, we'll
does
keep our
seem
eyes
to have
open, but if you could let us know as well.
Yeah, it does seem to have support from leadership, which is
Okay.
what is concerning.
All right.
So thank you for that.
Questions for Representative Lisa Martin? Online? Audience questions? Okay, mahalo.
Thank you very much.
Representative Natalia Hussey-Burdick.
Aloha, everybody. As usual, I have my wonderful office manager, Nadia, manning my PowerPoint for you today. Had to cut out a lot of stuff because I know we're operating on a time limit, but I have a newsletter in the back if you need anything or if you want to get in touch with me. So I just want to touch on my bill package for this session. So first, my most exciting bill this year is the Sunshine Law for the legislature. So it would require the legislature to abide by the same Sunshine Law that you folks have to tediously abide by in the interest of transparency and public participation. HB 2637 requires all new public buildings to be Category 5 resistant and be used as a hurricane shelter because we do not have enough statewide. Next. The next bill has a hearing. It's about dark night skies. Our seabirds get disoriented by the lights at night, and so this would set up an advisory committee. I have a bill to promote dual use of solar panels on agriculture land, which is a really good way to cut costs for both. Next, HB 2637 establishes a shoreline buyback program. So for those houses that are literally crumbling into the ocean, the state would buy those properties up and use them as affordable rentals for the duration of their usable life. And HB 2290 was actually inspired by a young child who was poisoned by ingesting yellow oleander on the property of their yacht club Knowles. So this is a plant that's very highly toxic and commonly used as a landscape plant. We should not be using it as a landscape plant. Next. I have two bills relating to little fire ants, requiring mandatory disclosure of LFA in real estate sales and requiring a nursery license program so that consumers are aware of that what we're buying is not infested with invasive species. Next. And this is your monthly reminder to go test your house. Next. This map is growing daily and you can visit stoptheant.org for the address. Next. For those of you interested in disaster preparedness, we have a really cool community emergency response team meeting on February 20th at 6:30 p.m. at Castle Hospital Auditorium. I'm going to be getting into the disaster preparedness bills that are going to be up at the legislature, including any funding mechanisms we might have. Next. And just a quick update on the wildfire risk to the Kailua hillside. As we know, it's a little bit green right now, but I have been in back and forth discussions with A&B who owns that land. They keep assuring me they're doing all they can. I keep assuring them they can always do more. So they've got plans to, they do monthly drone inspections now. They just had a site visit in November. They've hired a landscaper to clear that overgrowth and cut 30-foot fire breaks. Work on that has begun to start. I know some people have had reported fire breaks cut behind their house. Some have not. This work has been suspended for now, and I'm working to get a timeline for you guys as soon as possible. But I will not stop until there is a 30-foot fire break behind every single house. And they're going to be meeting with the Fire Prevention Battalion Chief next week. Next. And just one last note before I go. So I've been getting so many phone calls and emails about the potholes, about the overgrown grass, about the flooding on Kapa'a Quarry Road. As Councilmember Kia'aina mentioned, so I actually have a really great staffer right now who's been tracking down like a bloodhound who is in charge of each exact TMK, getting work order numbers for every single area, every single patch of grass that needs to get mowed or taken care of or a pothole filled. And so Kapa'a Quarry Road, my whole life, I thought was a municipal road, but it turns out there are so many owners that some are state, some are private, and some are county. So I've got some pretty high up eyes attention on this now, and this is another thing I'll be keeping track of until we get a better drainage plan for that road. Thank you. That's all.
All right. Mahalo for the speed run. Questions for Natalia tonight? Online? In the audience? We know it's a really busy time of the year. Mahalo. Next, Senator Chris Lee.
Hey, everybody.
wanted to follow up on what some of the other folks are talking about. I just wanted to share 5 bills. The first is a bill that would create a work program to empower folks who are homeless to be able to actually work for a few hours or a few days at a time. And this is a successful program that's been implemented in dozens of other places, but it not only gives them an opportunity to help contribute to the community and everything else and gain some experience and other things, but also it is a way to get them engaged with service providers. And so it's sort of a win-win and really can target those folks who otherwise can't be reached by other traditional means. That's SB 2661. Another measure, recently we had a bunch of folks block a ship coming into our harbor that was going to do undersea mining out in the Pacific. There's some significant risks to our local ecosystems and everything else. We can get into that another time. But essentially, this bill would prohibit that kind of mining, which is basically like strip mining the ocean floor within Hawaii waters. Not that there'd be a lot of risk of that, but it's entirely possible that there are some things out there. So that's Senate Bill 2575. I'm going to follow up again. We have a bunch of bills moving on safe streets and improving our crosswalks and sidewalks and bike lanes and stopping all the fatalities that we continue to see out there. And there's one bill in particular we wanted to talk about, Senate Bill 3239. There's a announcement by New York City just a little bit ago that's about to do the same thing. And this is sort of a proven model, but it's never been done in Hawaii. But essentially, about 15% of all families in Hawaii have unpaid medical debt, often into the tens of thousands of dollars. And this is money that, this is a debt that would otherwise never be paid off because folks just can't afford to do it. And it can happen to anybody. Anytime you have a auntie or uncle who ends up in the hospital, or you yourself have, suddenly a heart attack, and now you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in hospital bills, and you're basically bankrupt. It's sort of a major drag on our economy. It's certainly a barrier for local families and individuals to be able to get back on their feet. So this measure would appropriate some money to acquire from collections agencies all the medical debt for everybody in the state. It's roughly $500 million worth of debt that we can acquire for $5 million. It's about a 1 to 100 ratio. And the way that works is collection companies and hospitals will never collect on that. So they'd rather sell it for cheap and acquire something than nothing. What that means is we can spend $5 million and wipe out $500 million in debt for 15% of the families in Hawaii. That would greatly free up our local families and certainly our economy to be able to get moving again. So that's something that I'm kind of excited about because it's probably the best bang for the buck, dollar for dollar investment I think I've ever seen in all the time that at least I've been in the legislature. So with that, I want to just answer any questions and just say thanks again for taking the time.
All right, mahalo, Chris. Questions for Senator Lee tonight? Levani Lipton.
Yes, hello, Senator. The work program for houseless, is that a concept that's similar to Social Wise, who came to our committee years ago?
Actually, it's funny. Similar, yes. I actually have been working with a few folks who had been working and created that at the time. This bill I originally proposed actually about 6 years ago. And at the time, it didn't go anywhere because the way the legislature was doing things, we were making like one large sort of lump sum investment to try and address things. And this was, something a little bit outside of the box. So it never really got done. But it's similar in that same kind of way where you can give people opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have. And so there's a win-win both for the community as well as the folks who would be working.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Other questions? Online? Audience? Okay, mahalo, Chris.
Thanks very much, everybody.
I believe tonight we have Kendra Oishi representing Representative Jill Takuda.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Kendra Oishi, District Chief for Congresswoman Jill Takuda. I'll keep this very brief since it's getting late. We're still producing our written report for February, so we'll share that with the board as soon as it's ready. Right now in DC, lots of focus on the budget. In January, they averted a government shutdown for now, at least until early March. And a couple days ago, the US House just passed a major tax package that will be moving on to the Senate for their consideration. On the home front, we're starting up town hall. So this month, we're getting some town halls set up on the neighbor islands, and we're scheduling, working on scheduling more soon across the district. And lastly, wanted to promote the Congressional Art Competition. We're still getting the details set up, but wanted to get an early start on that. It's a nationwide competition for high school students. The winning art piece from every congressional district is displayed for a year at the US Capitol. So we'd like to encourage students to participate and teachers to promote the art competition in their classes. Usually entries need to be submitted by about April or so. So we're hoping that people can get an early start on it this year. And thank you.
All right, mahalo, Kendra. Questions for Kendra tonight? Donna Wong.
Yes, is there an update on the cutting down of the ironwood trees at Bellows?
Let me get back to you on that. I do know that Representative Takuda had that question, and I need to find out where the answer to that is.
Okay.
There is an update, and if so,
I need to find out. I remember that question was raised, but I'm sorry, I don't have the answer in front of me, so I need to follow up on that, and I will get back to the board via the chair.
Okay, thank you.
Donna, I've heard about that from Parks Director Thieland in Waimanalo, in the Waimanalo meetings, and would be happy to give you an update via email or something.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item are reports from members who attended other meetings. Levani Lipton.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Okay, I attended an informational meeting along with a couple other board members and community members this month or last month with Professor Ali Bain of Stanford University and Sarah Lowry. This was a follow-up meeting to the Zoom that was held in my water quality subcommittee on January the 11th. And so they were really interested in just the community perspective, anecdotal information. They're going to be doing water quality studies at Castle Beach and along the waterway, the Oniava Canal, and up towards Kapa'a Quarry. They're going to be doing microbial tracking to analyze whether the fecal matter is coming from humans or animals. Fecal matter from humans is a lot more infectious, and they're worried about that. And the origins of the study is because of all of those reports that came out last year during April and May when there was a high bacterial exceedance in Kailua Bay. So this study is in response to that. She is funding it with discretionary funds that she got by a donor through her department over at Stanford. I think it's like civil engineering and Department of Oceans or something like that. Ali is a Kailua girl, so she has roots here, and she said she's been doing water quality testing all over the world for 20 years, and she really wanted to be able to do something for her community at this juncture in her career. If you have not seen the Zoom, we had around 60 people, I believe, both in person and on the call. I have the recording, and I would encourage folks in Kailua to watch it because this is very important, and it's something that the community is worried about. It's public health, public safety, and I'm happy to fill you in. And as the researchers proceed, it's going to be conducted by her PhD student, Sarah. As the researchers proceed, they'll check in with us, the community. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. And for the sake of completeness and legal reporting, the board members present were Lavani Lipton, Donna Wong, Gary Weller, and myself. I don't think I missed anybody. Okay. Any other members have any reports to make of attending other meetings? Carol Miyashiro.
I attended the quarterly meeting of the Windward Neighborhood Security Watch coordinators. It seems like there's a lot of Kailua neighbors that are Kailua neighborhoods that don't have a lot of active NSWs going on. So at some point in the near future, I would like to have sort of an informational, educational opportunity for all of Kailua to talk to the HPD and the Neighborhood Security Watch programs that are active. Mary, I see you here, and you can share also sort of the benefits of getting your neighborhood organized to sort of be the eyes and ears and just to kind of know your neighbors and see how you can work together to keep Kailua safe. So stay tuned for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. We now move on to presentations. It's 9:07. We're a little tight, but I think we're okay. We have 3 presentations tonight. Just up front, the Pulu Stormwater Quality Improvements Project will also be discussed at the Water Quality Subcommittee meeting next Thursday at 6. And the 2 SMA applications, 580 North Kalaheo Avenue and 1070 Mokulua Drive, will also be on the agenda at the Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee the 3rd Tuesday at 7 p.m. So there will be additional opportunities for discussion on these 3 presentations. So we'll start with the Stormwater Quality Improvements Project, Fiona Van Amers, Project Manager, Brown and Caldwell. And who else do you have? And Randall Wakamoto. Okay, please.
Good evening, Chair Hicks, members of the board, and members of the public. Thank you very much for allowing us to come here tonight to provide an update on our project, which we're calling it the Pulu Stormwater Quality Improvements. We had given a heads up in December at the last meeting that we would be coming out here to provide a little bit more information on this project. So just to introduce, I'm Randall Wakamoto. I'm the program administrator for our city stormwater quality division within our Department of Facility Maintenance. And I have here also Fiona Van Amers from Brown and Caldwell. They're our primary design consultant that's going to be helping us throughout this project. So we'll provide an update tonight. Next slide. Okay, so for tonight, we're going to provide a little bit of a background on the project. We'll kind of go through what we're actually proposing, and then we'll open up for some questions and for us to be able to answer any questions. Okay. So first thing, just giving a little background. So for the Stormwater Quality Division within our Department of Facility Maintenance, our mission is really to support clean water for all of this island of Oahu. Also to promote a healthy and safe environment for all residents as well as people here visiting. And then this is always empowering individuals, groups, organizations, anyone to be part of this process because it is a shared responsibility and it's not just necessarily the city's responsibility, but it's everybody's responsibility to promote water quality and improvements. Okay, so the whole reason for this project is, of course, the city has a permit, and this is under that federal large EPA under the Clean Water Act, in which the city has to demonstrate how they're improving water quality for our nearshore waters as well as our streams and ocean. Through that, in that permit, it has a requirement that we need to focus on retrofitting our existing city drainage system and really encouraging more things like low impact development or what we refer to as green stormwater infrastructure. So in that permit, we're basically trying to look at where we need to assess opportunities to do water quality type improvements. Okay, so the project purpose is really, essentially, we've identified Kailua as a priority watershed, along with many other watersheds all throughout the entire island. But for this particular situation, we're proposing to install what we refer to as structural best management practices, or BMPs, which essentially is designed to try to capture, to treat, and try to remove as much of the pollution that's associated with that stormwater runoff that gets generated whenever it rains. This particular project is identified as a pilot demonstration. So it's not the only project we're going to be doing. We've already done a number of projects in the past. This is just another add-on to it, and it's a sort of a evolving process as we continue. So it's not like we're going to be doing this one project and we're never going to come back, but really this is just kind of the, again, the start and continuous, always evaluating to see what's effective and how we can try to improve water quality within this community. Okay, so some of the project constraints, just to let you know, we are running on some things that we have to make sure that we're addressing in order to be successful for this project. So for one thing is, there is a time frame to implement the project. The funds have been secured, it is budgeted. However, there is a time frame we need to be able to ensure that we're getting the project out to bid, hiring a contractor to build it in order to ensure that we're not going to lapse those funds. Also, we need to consider the maintenance requirements because the city is going to be responsible to maintain these devices and systems. So we want to make sure we're working within our city agencies who are going to be essentially maintaining these systems. We also want to make sure that it's effective. So it's addressing water quality specific issues that we see commonly happening in this community. And so we're targeting certain type of pollution sources like sediment, nitrogen, phosphorus, metals, things like that. So we want to make sure whatever designs we're coming up are essentially effective for removing those type of pollution constituents. And then lastly, of course, is we want to make sure that the costs are something that we want to stay within our budgeted amount, and we want to make sure that it's successful. So again, we'll cover what this project is, and then I'll turn it over to Fiona, who will run you through what we're currently working on in terms of our designs.
Thank you, Randall. As I mentioned, I'm Fiona Van Amers. I'm a project manager with Brown and Caldwell, and we've been hired to design stormwater control treatment systems along Oklahoma Street. Before I get started, though, reviewing the concepts, I just want to share that I'm really grateful to Randall and for all of you guys for giving me and my team a chance to work on this project. All of us are what I'll call ocean addicts. We all have a really strong relationship with the ocean. We sail, we paddle, we surf, we wing foil. And we're really proud to work on this project that we know is going to improve water quality where we live and play. So thank you for this opportunity. Next slide. Okay, so big picture. The goal of this project, as Randall said, is to remove pollution like sediment, trash, nutrients from stormwater runoff before it goes into Kailua Pond. And the city has been implementing various CIP projects to do that, but this specific project is focused on Oklahoma Street. The project will have two separate treatment controls. The first is a biofiltration curb extension, which is what we call state-of-the-art green infrastructure, and it will treat approximately 2 acres of runoff. And the second system is a hydrodynamic separator, and that will treat approximately 7 acres of runoff. So in total, the project will treat 9 acres of runoff. All the improvements will be installed within the city right away on Oklahoma Street, and the systems will meet the city's current treatment standards for new developments. Next slide. Okay, this is a conceptual rendering of our biofiltration curb extension. We consider this a green complete street. It will include a sidewalk, bike path, and street parking. And then between the sidewalk and the roadway, we'll have a vegetated basin, hopefully made of native plants and trees. Stormwater will enter the system through curb cuts. So water will run down the hillside and sheet flow across the street and enter the system through curb cuts. It'll then flow along the length of the system, and that's how it receives treatment via plant root uptake and soil infiltration. Maintenance. The system does require monthly maintenance, and maintenance activities would include stuff like removing trash and sediment, trimming the ground cover, pruning the trees, and things like that. The city is looking to partner with the community. So we're talking to Outdoor Circle, maybe perhaps the high school, maybe one of you guys would like to partner with the city to manage the monthly maintenance. If you like that, talk to us afterwards. Next slide. Okay, the second system is a hydrodynamic separator, and that's a prefabricated device that sits in a concrete manhole below ground. In this particular site, the configuration will allow stormwater to enter via two pipes. So there's a 30-inch pipe that comes down from Akiohala Place. That pipe will connect to the hydrodynamic separator, and then there's a second pipe on Akiohala Street. So those two pipes will discharge into the hydrodynamic separator. That system uses gravity to filter out trash and debris. And then the clean water exits and will go back into the existing system. This unit, or this type of treatment control device, requires annual maintenance. So yearly DFM will send out a back tractor, suck up the sediments and trash that are left in the sump, haul it away. So that's kind of somewhat easy. Next slide. Oh, yeah. So we have a video to demonstrate how a hydrodynamic separator works, because a lot of people haven't seen this before. So we'll play this short video.
Stormwater runoff. The treatment process begins as stormwater enters the system through one or multiple inlets. The inlet flume guides the treatment flow into the unit's separation chamber, where water velocities within the chamber create a swirling vortex. At the heart of the CDS system is a unique indirect treatment screen. Unlike traditional screens that can easily become clogged, water velocities within the swirl chamber continually deflect debris off the specially designed screen to keep it clean. The combination of swirl concentration and indirect screening forces floatables and solids to the center of the separation chamber. 100% of floatables and neutrally buoyant debris larger than the screen aperture are trapped in the chamber, and sediment settles into an isolated sump. Pollutants remain in these sections of the unit until they're removed during maintenance. Stormwater then moves under the hydrocarbon baffle, and the treated water exits the system. The baffle acts as a wall for hydrocarbon containment and prevents agitation of hydrocarbons when high flows spill over the diversion weir. During high-intensity events, the internal diversion weir directs flows greater than the design storm around the treatment chamber. The treatment capacity of the system is not
Yeah, the video goes on, but that's the gist of it.
diminished
like
during
to-
high-intensity events. The design
Hydrodynamic separators have been around for nearly 20 years, and they've been proven very effective. There's certifications for the units. The one that we'll install isn't necessarily the one that you're seeing here in this video, but it'll be something similar. Next slide. So if you would like more information or kind of want to follow the progress of the project, you can go to lapulustormwater.org. We'll be posting information about the design and opportunities for community engagement. If you would like to reach the project team, you can contact us via the contact form. give you guys a second if you guys want to catch that QR code.
Okay, and the presentation is also on our Google Drive, the link to which is at the top of our agenda. And again, this presentation and more in-depth discussion is available next Thursday, 6 p.m. at our Water Quality Subcommittee meeting. I'm sorry, anything else? You know?
Well, we have one more slide. Just what are the next steps on the project? So we'll be continuing with the design. We plan to come back around May to review the updates in the design. We should have more information then. And then we're hoping to finish the design and get out into construction in late 2025. That's it. So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, if there are any major questions that we need to address tonight, I'll ask for that. If they can wait until next Thursday's meeting, that would be preferred. Kate Ryder.
I think the question on everyone's mind is why there? Because you're instituting a bike lane on a dead-end road, and you're also doing all of this runoff on a hillside. And a big concern is runoff from residential areas and the roadways and the permeable surfaces and the trash. The amount of trash coming from the hillside is different type of trash, which isn't as dangerous to our waterways as all the plastic and the oil and pesticides.
So thank you for that comment. And because what you just saw is there is a large undeveloped hillside area behind it. But what we see is there's a lot of sediment that's coming off of that area. So whenever it rains, because it's an undeveloped site, and we see every time whenever it does rain, there's a lot of soil that comes off of it. And these devices are also proven to remove a lot of that sediment soil. And so that's why we're targeting that, because we do know that in Kailua Pond, that is one of the concerns, is that it does silt up because it does capture a lot of sediment that's coming whenever it has these large storm events, and that essentially causes it to start to stagnate the water. It starts to, that's when we get a lot of those odor concerns, and then also it does contribute to potential flooding issues because it has not as much capacity within the pond itself.
Okay, other questions, but I'll ask you to please keep them brief. Randall.
Well, we know that the sources is coming from everywhere again, and how do we get the most cost-effective way within the timeframes that we're talking about to be able to implement a project? We know there is a large storm drain that comes through that area. We also know that that enters into that Akiohala ditch, which we also get pretty much every year. We always get complaints about odor problems coming from that ditch because, again, the water starts to stagnate, it gets backed up. And so what we're trying to do is try to prevent as much of that sediment runoff from coming into that ditch itself that leads into the pond. So that was one of this. And like, again, we said, there's a lot of storm drains. Like you said, there's hundreds of storm drains, and there's actually a lot of these ditches that tie into the pond itself. So we can't do everything all at once because we do, again, have limited funding, and we have to stay within our budgets. So we're saying that this is one, again, we're doing it as a demonstration project, but then this is just one project that's going to lead into more. And we are talking about possibly other future projects that we're going to work on, but this is really a demonstration to show what this can do, what the city can maintain, and it is essentially to address those type of concerns that you guys have. No, I mean, it's all good points. And, that's why we do have a website, which we want people to engage. And if you see problems in the certain community points that, share that information. And we can gather all that information to see Because there's going to be this ongoing sort of planning effort that we're assessing for future opportunities as well. So we'll want to hear from the community what your feedback is, and that could help to generate future projects as well. But again, we're looking at this as one project for one location, and then that's going to lead into future ones as well.
Okay, we have 30 minutes available for 2 more presentations and 3 motions, so we need to be very quick. Cindy Turner.
Yeah, definitely. But I would suggest go to the website. It is live now. Send it as when you're going on there, you can submit a comment. It's going to go to a more central location where we can see, the whole project team can actually see those emails that's coming in, rather than, you can send it to me, but I'm going to forward it to the project team as well. So, you know, I guess to get it directly to the project team, that might be the more efficient way. Yeah, so, but if you send it to me, I'm just going to send it to the project team so that we can discuss it as well.
Well, it's a good idea to get those questions to you in advance of next Thursday's meeting. So that's a good idea, Cindy. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. But again, we're all working within certain timelines, certain budgets. You know, this is why we're saying, because there's still a lot of permitting that has to go through it. And it depends on what you're looking at, where you're doing it. That's going to dictate how quickly you can implement it. And then, of course, different things like we work in streams and waterways becomes very expensive to do that. So we have to take that into consideration.
Okay, Linda Jenks.
Mhm. Yeah. But no, thank you for sharing all that. So again, we're taking into consideration, we had actually other locations we were considering, but again, we're working within certain constraints. The lower you get, the closer you get to water, the harder it's going to get, because now when you're actually, when you're excavating, digging up, you're going to be working in water. So what we have to do is the contractor is going to have to de-water that whole thing. That becomes very expensive to do that, because you have to remove the water in order to install something. And then from there, you're having to displace all that, and you have to treat that water in order to dispose of it. So that becomes very costly. And also, when you look at the site, we're trying to minimize some of the traffic concerns, because again, if you're working in a very major roadway, you're going to have to do all these traffic controls, divert traffic. That becomes very expensive as well, because you're going to have to come up with all these plans in order to address those things. So you can see we're using this as a demonstration project. We want to be able to address it, but then we also have some other areas like you just talking about in that Kailua area, which is a major drainage way, but then now you're dealing with traffic concerns, dewatering, site constraints, because there's a lot of utilities. So it becomes very difficult to construct, because you may have to relocate utilities and things. So that just adds on to the cost. So what we're trying to do is stay within our budgeted amounts, be able to do something in a timely manner, and still be able to demonstrate that it's effective. Like you just mentioned, we don't test the soils in that area, so we're not sure if it's hazardous or anything, but we do know that there's a lot of sediment runoff from that slope. We actually cited an owner on there because they were doing some sort of illegal, I guess you could say, breeding activities. And so we could see that hillside being exposed. And so that's exposing it now. So when the next rain event, all of that soil is going to come down. So again, these are all things that we took into consideration, but it's still something that it's an ongoing project, obviously. So.
Okay, mahalo, and we'll have the opportunity for more detailed discussion next Thursday. Thank you for the presentation. It can be accessed via the link, and if you can't get questions for next Thursday directly in, just forward them to Lavani and we'll get them in that way.
One question. At the Water Quality Committee, do you want us to present this again, or would you just rather us go straight into the?
No, I don't think there's a need for the presentation again. I think we just.
I
go
mean,
into
that way we
discussion
can get a lot more
next
done.
Thursday. Yeah. People have access to the presentation. They've seen it tonight. They have access to it. I think we'll just go right into the discussion next Thursday.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, mahalo. Next presentation is 580 North Kalaheo Avenue, SMA application. We have Vincent Yanagita of Environmental Risk Analysis.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Happy to be here. My name is Vincent Yanagita. I work for Environmental Risk Analysis. We're here to represent Mr. Maury Tanner regarding a proposed construction project at his property located at 580C North Kalaheo Avenue. I realize I have the wrong zip code on this handout here. That there is a handout available on the Google Drive to kind of show some renderings of the proposed construction project. Basically, it is a single family home. There's an existing single family home there built 1940, renovated in 1950. The proposed project is to demolish the existing home and build a new home, a larger home that extends closer to the ocean. So due to the size and location of the construction project, they are required to get a SMA, a Special Management Area Major Use Permit. So this presentation to the neighborhood board is in support of that permit application. So basically,
Did you have slides for the screen or?
no, unfortunately, I do not have someone operating slides. I do have
Okay.
printouts if anybody is interested. If you would like me to
All right, thank you.
hand these out to the board, I can do that as well. Or I'm just going to try to describe it as best I can. Basically, the current house sits very far back from the shoreline. The new proposed house will extend further towards the shoreline, but still we're over 100 feet back from the shoreline, so well within the shoreline setbacks. It'll probably be basically close to in line with the neighboring house as far as the distance to the shoreline. So the presentation that is available online, the architect has some renderings available to show how the new house will look. Basically, that's all we really have to present today as far as the new construction. I do have handouts if anybody is interested in a more detailed look at what the proposed construction looks like. If anybody has any questions.
Okay, the PDF of the brief is in our meeting materials, and the link is at the top of our agenda. And as I recall, there are no waivers being requested for this. It's in compliance with setback requirements and height requirements and ratio of square foot to lot size. No issues there, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So we're meeting all the land use ordinance regarding height, building floor areas, shoreline setbacks.
Okay, and this is on the agenda of Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee meeting for any follow-up questions or more detailed discussion, which is third Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Kalama Beach Park. Are there any questions? Donna Wong.
Yes, first of all, I'd like a copy of the presentation, please.
Oh, yes.
Okay, how many homes are going to be built on this property? Thank you.
So regarding the question of how many homes are going to be built on this property, so currently there is a main house and a guest house that's currently existing. The main house is kind of almost like three separate structures. It's considered one house. So those three structures includes like a garage and the other structure and the kind of main house. The new design has 4 structures. So it'll include the new garage as well as the area above it, 2 kind of pool houses, as well as a main dwelling. So yeah, it is kind of 4 structures, but it's all kind of considered one living unit.
So your presentation says there's going to be a 6,800 square foot main house, a pool house, and then pool house two, and a bunkhouse, and then existing guest home. What is the purpose of all these buildings?
So the owner has a very large family. He says he has 5 children as well as 17 grandchildren. There will only be 2 to 4 permanent residents at the house. They do not plan on having any long-term, short-term rentals, anything like that. It really is to have the space to house relatives as visitors more than anything else.
Okay, thank you.
All right, other questions? Yes, please use the microphone.
We live on a street, one street over, and we received this in our mailbox at, I don't know, 4, 2, or 3 o'clock today. No information except that we have greenhouse, guest house, bunkhouse, and 2 casitas structures. Now, currently, there's one house there which is set way, way back, 1940 structure. My concern is number one, parking situation. That would be encouraged with all of the structures. I'm also concerned about the beach in front. There is now pocket that stretches way out, and there's barely any beach. And this is similar to all along. Is there any way that's not pocket can be removed, with water and planted? Question to maybe board anybody. This goes on, the watering goes on daily, maybe not at this, but the next door and the next door. And now public out for the outside of the beach. So I don't know how this is going to impact, but it would sure be nice if we gave beaches back to people.
Yeah, that's a valid question about landscape covering and the extent of it.
First question was regarding parking. I think there, you can see on, you gotta have a copy of this. There is requirements for off-street parking. So they do plan to meet all the requirements for off-street parking. I believe it's like 14 spaces there's off-street. I don't have the answer to regarding the shore. I mean, we're well set back from the shoreline, even the new structures. I don't know about the watering. I don't believe there's a lot planned regarding changing the landscaping on that side, on the beachfront side of the property. So yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, apologies for the late notice. That is something that we do need to notify all the adjacent neighbors about regarding our presentation tonight. It unfortunately did get delivered very late, and we do really apologize for that. But yeah, it was only provided to the very adjoining neighbors, the 2 streets, they're private lanes on the opposite sides of 580 North Kalaheo. Obviously, this presentation is available online via the Google Drive. So
Yes, on the top of the Kailua Neighborhood Board agenda, it says meeting materials, and there's a Google Drive link at the top of the agenda. There you can find this presentation. And we have a Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee meeting Tuesday, February 20th, from 7 until 9 at Kalama Beach Park. And the purpose of that follow-up meeting where this is on the agenda is to be able to address questions that have arisen tonight, really. So I would encourage people who are interested in this project, and also the next one that we're going to hear in a minute, to attend the PZ&E meeting. Again, that's Tuesday, February 20th, 7 to 9 p.m. at Kalama Beach Park. Are there any other questions? Kate Ryder.
Real quick, this is more directed towards the board because it sounds like as long as they're following the existing rules, then it's going to go ahead. So maybe there's something about changing rules and relooking at shoreline setbacks, especially in light of, rising sea levels and, endangered seabirds and all sorts of different issues and concerns that we have.
Yeah, if there are issues and concerns, our process is on these SMAs, our process, since these have become required 2 years ago, is to have a 10-minute presentation at a neighborhood board meeting. And that checks that box, but then to schedule it for the follow-on Planning, Zoning, and Environment Committee meeting for more in-depth discussion of any questions that have come up. And the PZ&E committee then considers whether or not there are concerns that would warrant a motion for consideration by the neighborhood board. So that's the process. So Tuesday, February 20th is the next key point. Steve Trecker.
Real quick, how many total bedrooms will there be, counting all the bedrooms and all the structures?
I don't have that information. I'm not sure if Maury and his architect were online and would know that information regarding how many total bedroom bathrooms.
Okay, but it's enough to require 14 parking spaces. Did I hear that correctly? 14 off-site parking spaces?
I can answer that question if you need me to. So there is, let's see, 4 bedrooms, 8, 6, 12 bedrooms in the new structures. And then the existing house, I believe has 3 or 4. I'm not quite sure on that one. I'm not touching it. So, but the new stuff has 12 in total. And I can share my screen if you guys would like to see any sort of, I don't know if it would show up for the rest of the community, but I can share kind of how far the new structure goes towards the beach, kind of between, if you see the 2 houses on each side, it's actually kind of splits the difference between how far they go or how far it goes. So not as far as the southern one, and not and a little closer than the northern house. And I don't know if my starting a sharing or anything would help out.
It might have earlier at the beginning of the presentation, but yeah, we are time limited. We've got another presentation and 3 motions, and we have to be out of the room in 15 minutes.
All right.
So I think this is a good introduction, and it met its purpose. I think there probably is interest in some follow-on questions and discussions on Tuesday, February 20th.
Between now and then, just to put some of those questions at ease, between the property line and the new house is 110 feet, and then the shoreline is another 30 feet from there. So it's about 135, 140 feet from the shoreline.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next SMA presentation, 1070 Mokulua Drive. Jim Hayes, Planning Solutions. And Jim, if we could have the 5-minute version, please.
Hello, my name is Jim Hayes with Planning Solutions, representing the applicant. I'll try to speak quickly. We're representing a project in Lanikai. Just a few things related to the questions that just came up with the last presentation. In the situation where there is, well, all SMA permits, one of the conditions is that you cannot have irrigation, watering beyond shoreline. So that'll be a permit condition of whatever permit arises from this project and other projects. And that's an enforceable condition. If people see people irrigating beyond their property line onto the shoreline, they can contact the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands at the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and that's something they can look into. And also in July 1st of this year, the shoreline setback will be changing. So those rules have already passed and they go into effect on July 1st. So you'll see some changes in these proposals at that time. This project, like I said, in 1070 Mokulua Drive, sort of typical lot in that area zoned R10. This aerial photograph of the site. And you can see it's undeveloped currently. There were formerly a house there on the site, obviously a shoreline lot. This is the proposed layout of the new structure, single family house, a single family residence there, and then towards the street, a lanai and a pool. And then a large area between the pool and the street, which will be used for parking. The proposal complies with all land use ordinances and no variances are being sought. The shoreline setback is shown in the hatch, sort of the slash hatch. And another thing I'll point out is the red line out near the ocean is the erosion line, and that's an important line when the department is considering these applications, and that'll probably become clear the more that you look at these. And lastly is a rendering of the proposed residence. The residence is 2 levels, roughly 4,800 square feet. And again, this is, you can see the pool behind the house. So we're looking towards the street in this rendering. The beach is behind you. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Questions on 10 Mokulua Drive, SMA, Donna Wong?
Is there a wall, a retaining wall in front of the, bordering the beach?
There a seawall?
Retaining wall, yes, a seawall.
No, there is not.
Oh, okay.
Steve Trekker.
Are they proposing to build one?
No.
Real quick.
To build seawalls any longer.
Are you folks going to be hiring Hawaiian cultural organization to monitor any digging on the site during construction?
We will do an archaeological inventory survey prior to the commencement of construction. That will be submitted to the State Historic Preservation Division for review. And it depends on if anything is found during that effort.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for tonight? Again, there will be follow-up opportunities Tuesday, February 20th. Online, the audience. Okay, thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, next order of business are the individual motions. There are three of them. The first one is that the first Thursday of July is July 4th. In July, it is proposed that the Kailua Neighborhood Board regular meeting be held on the second Thursday, July 11th, and that the committees that normally meet on the second Thursday instead meet on the third Thursday, July 18th. Kellyanne Kobayashi, do you wish to make this motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Steve Trecker, is there any discussion? Okay, we need to do a roll call vote for this first motion so we know who all is here. Josiah Cow? Votes yes. Travis Council? Aye. Amber Granite? Kellyanne Kobayashi?
Yes.
Aye. David Laea? Aye. Jade Lau, Mike Lee, Lavani Lipton? Aye. Carol Miyashiro? Aye. Kayla Morel?
Yes.
Aye. Kate Ryder? Aye. Claudine Tomasa? Claudine?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Steve Trecker? Aye. Evan Weber? Aye. Gary Weller? Gary Weller?
Aye.
Aye. John White? Donna Wong? Aye. Jeff Suckernick? Chair votes aye. The motion carries unanimously with 14 votes. The second motion is the Kailua Neighborhood Board is concerned about the overdue total maximum daily load report for the Pulu Pond and waterways. We request that the Department of Health Clean Water Branch provide an in-person update on the status of this TMDL study to the Kailua Neighborhood Board. We further request that a representative from the Department of Facilities Maintenance Stormwater Branch be available to discuss the implementation phase of the TMDL process for Ailey Pulu Pond and waterways. Lavani Lipton, you wish to make this motion? Is there a second? Kate Ryder. Any discussion? Lavani Lipton?
Take a minute or so just to explain what a TMDL is real quick. Okay, all right. The history of this real quick is that this was started over 20 years ago, but never completed. And there's a list of TMDLs for impaired bodies of water all over the state. Basically, a TMDL can help establish whether a body of water is considered impaired. And it's considered impaired if it has a higher than standard acceptable level of pollutants. What kinds of pollutants would be found in Ka'elepulu? Nutrients, nitrates, and phosphorus from fertilizer and pesticides. So the reason why this is important is because it helps to classify the degree of impairment, high priority, medium priority, or low. And then there are certain requirements that are part of the city's NPDES permit, which Randall alluded to tonight. And basically, if a body of water is severely impaired, it forces the city to be obligated to fulfill BMPs, best management practices established in the permit, which includes regular and consistent street sweeping, regular cleaning of the storm drains, and maintenance of the stormwater infrastructure. So TMDL is the calculation of the maximum amount of a pollutant allowed to enter a water body, just in case you didn't know.
And it needs to be documented in this report, which has been 20 years in the making. Is there any other discussion? Okay. Having just taken the vote on the first motion, we're going to approach this slightly differently. Are there any objections to this motion? Are there any abstentions to this motion? Hearing no objections and no abstentions, the motion passes unanimously with 14 members. The third motion is the Kailua Neighborhood Board shall participate in the annual Kailua Town Party on Sunday, April 28th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The board will conduct a public survey at the event, create educational materials, and utilize outreach materials, including a board banner and board shirts. The total budget will be under $500. Individual motion, Carol Miyashiro, do you wish to make this motion? Is there a second? Seconded by Levani Lipton. Is there any discussion? Kate Ryder.
So we get the same shirts as last time, and if we already have shirts, we don't get another one. I mean, I don't need a second Kailua Neighborhood Board shirt. It just includes shirts in there.
Well, you can wear any shirt you like,
Okay.
but but I think most members are going to show off the newer, better shirts. But the old faithful is fine also. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Same thing. Are there any objections? Online? Are there any abstentions? With no objections or abstentions, the motion carries unanimously with 14 votes. Next item of business is the approval of minutes for the December 7th regular meeting. Are there any corrections or objections to the December 7th meetings? Online? Hearing none, the December 7th minutes are approved. Committee reports stand as published unless any committee chair needs to amplify. All committee reports as stand. Committee membership motions. I announced that Evan Weber is the new chairman of the Parks and Recreation Committee. I have made that appointment. For changes in committee membership, the ones I am aware of are Evan Weber stepping down from the Water Quality Subcommittee. Kate Ryder continues on Parks and Rec as a regular member. And Mike Lee wishes to join both Public Safety and Transportation committees. Are there any other committee membership changes? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve these changes to committee membership. So moved by Levani Lipton, is seconded by Kate Ryder. Is there any discussion? All right, same method of voting. Are there any objections? Any abstentions? Committee membership motions are unanimously approved with 14 votes. Chair's report, committee agendas for March are due by Sunday, February 25th. This meeting is adjourned at 9:59.